How can you get a 1-star hair transplant at a 5-star clinic? That's exactly what happened to one of my subscribers. He texted me, "I didn't know how bad things looked until I buzzed my head." And before I share with you what were the things that went wrong with his surgery and how you can avoid it, this is Sean. He wanted to get his hair back to have not only better quality of life, but also peace of mind. He asked me first for advice on how to approach his hair transplant, what are going to be the best clinics for his case without doing the tedious research that oftentimes leaves you with more questions than answers. And this was him 1 year later since our conversation. Welcome to Let's Get Hair. My name is Matt, and since 2019 I helped more than 2,000 clients find the best hair transplant clinic while saving stress, money and time trying to figure out which clinic is good and which clinic is just a 5-star marketer trying to take your money while giving you 2-star results. But remember, it doesn't have to be like that. Check out the link in the video description below where you can get a one-on-one appointment with me. You send me your photos, fill out a quick pre-consultation form so I can get more insights about your case and help you the best way. Now back to our case. The name of the clinic. I'm sure everybody will want to know, oh, what's the name of the clinic, Matt? The name will not be shared because I was not their patient, and I'm sure it's not all of their results will look like this. But if you follow me on Instagram, you DM me there, I will DM you back with the name of the clinic. This is 14 months after his hair transplant. 3,800 grafts have been harvested from his donor zone and transplanted via the FUE method. The first problem is that using 3,800 grafts for this small frontal zone seems very inefficient for me, and that's one thing that I like to research as first thing when I look at before and after results of a particular clinic my clients want me to review. I look at their graft efficiency, because I can tell you from my experience better clinics out there would have used 2,400 to 2,600 grafts on average on this type of client, especially if he has this type of wavy hair texture, which is like one of the most gifted type of individuals that you can be when getting a hair transplant. This type of texture creates an amazing illusion of coverage and great coverage property as such. He really had everything going for him as far as that hair property and not even having so much hair loss for a guy in his late 30s. So it was just up for the clinic to utilize all of these benefits the best way. Not only the survival rate was poor, likely 50% to 60% maximum. Why do we know that? Well, he was first told that they would do 50 grafts per centimeter square density, which looks like this. But then he verified it himself after 14 months and figured that this was maximum 25 grafts per centimeter square on average in the frontal zone. And here, very simple yet quite precise thing. You would be surprised how accurate that can be to measure the density. So you just cut out a square centimeter on a paper, overlay it on top of your head. Ideally, your hair is shorter, then you can really identify what the density was on different areas. I can confirm that even just by looking at this result with my bare eyes as an independent observer, this is no more than 30. You know, if I'm overdoing. On average, 20 to 25 grafts per centimeter square, depends on which part of the front you are looking at. The clinic, of course, offered him a free touch-up with another 2,000 grafts. We are now talking about 5,800 grafts being already used for just the front. That's a very bad thing as far as future planning, because this will kind of depletes your future options. But later about that. And I will also mention this from our email conversation. That's what he's saying. One of the receptionists? He told me after the second surgery that I'm lucky that I even had enough donor hair for a second hair transplant, since most patients do not even qualify for a second hair transplant. Now, this is of course not true, and it's probably something a receptionist would tell you. You can definitely have more than one hair transplant, but of course if you don't do it right and they just take a shit ton of hair from your donor and they over-harvest it, of course, nobody will be able to give you a second hair transplant after that, at least no good doctor. And then he kept on saying, this means that the warranty certificate that they gave me is actually worthless for most patients, since they do not have even enough donor hair for a second surgery. So yes, they also gave him this infamous guarantee certificate that has never been able to guarantee you anything and will never be able. Be wary of that, and some of you guys who've been watching my videos, you probably already guessed this was a Turkish clinic because it's common that some, not all, some Turkish clinics will give you that type of certificate. But again, it's pretty worthless. But hey, let's not be also so harsh on these Turkish clinics, because most people who go there, they pay from $2,000 to $2,500. They get 4,000 to 5,000 grafts, meaning they pay like 50 cents to 60 cents, 0.5 to 0.6 of a dollar for the graft, which is 10 times less than what they had paid with the best clinics in Europe or, United States. So in such case, if you are unhappy and you are dissatisfied, I understand. But hey, it's like complaining and being unhappy about your Alcatel 1B that costs $100 or less, that it's not as fast as your iPhone, it doesn't have the same responsive touchscreen, it's not having the same battery life. Yes, there are clinics like that in Turkey, but here are also some of the results of my clients who decided to go to Turkey, and their results look fabulous because they were like, hey Matt, you have visited 13 clinics in Turkey. You know these clinics better than the internet does. You are seeing this stuff on a regular basis. You know the insider information that I probably don't know. Please help me out. And as if low density wasn't enough, after getting 3,800 grafts on this small area, the other problem with my subscribers' first hair transplant was non-homogeneously restored frontotemporal transition. Frontotemporal zones are known for their softness and having finer hairs in them. In this case, we see, however, robust, thick-looking transplanted hairs in these areas, especially this side. The left side, I think, looks more natural compared to the right side, and the reason for that could be that one technician was maybe doing incisions on the one side and the other technicians on the other side, the one that is less experienced. Or it can be also because the balding was actually more extensive in the right corner compared to the other temple, and restoring the right side area required a deep understanding of how the hair is naturally transitioning in this area, as well as using acute angles. The subscriber got the same angles of the incisions and the same directionality done in those temporal zones as on the rest of his frontal zone. On the other temple, we cannot see it much because, as I seen, the balding was not as extensive in this zone, so it's actually a good thing that didn't allow them to mess up that much. His donor zone looks also way too thinned out on the sides only after his first hair transplant of 3,800 grafts. I have not seen the photos of his donor right after the operation, but it seems like either they took too much from the sides in relation to the back of the head, or likely even extracted too many follicles per square centimeter from his sides. And with most people, the sides are weaker region to supply donor hair compared to the back, so you should be careful with taking too many follicles from the sides in general. It is very unfortunate that he had to use 5,800 grafts already, which means almost the whole safe donor limit for many men out there who are trying to get FUE, and he barely restored his front with this amount, and it is still flawed on one side. And because the second surgery of 2,000 grafts did only improve the density in the front, which was less dense previously, in my opinion it should have been done more conservatively, and he shouldn't have used 2,000 grafts, but tried to do the best he could have with maybe 1,200 or so to save the donor. Just my opinion. But even better, he shouldn't have gone to the same place twice, because he already saw, okay, they did mess up on one side, so I wouldn't have accepted the free offer even. I would be quite afraid to go there. And although it's true that even the best clinics have some results that are subpar or have below average survival rate, like below 95%, I've seen that, true, but they never give you that mess up, like bad angles, bad directionality, literally like a botched section. The buzz cut always reveals the true hair transplant result, its naturalness, its density, everything. Remember that, guys. Lesson of the story: measure twice, cut only once. Videos to watch next: I recommend you this one on avoiding the 5 buzz cut traps after a hair transplant. That is quite related to this case as well, and had this subscriber watch this video and paid close attention to it before choosing his clinic, I'm sure he would have been able to avoid all of these issues he got, unfortunately. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.